Agut in Moed Rabboisai. Mordechai live from Chicago. It's actually Erev Yom Tov, not just Erev Yom Tov. It's 5:15 in the afternoon, Erev Yom Tov. And I understand there's a bunch of guys on Zoom and on YouTube. It's incredible, incredible. Erev Yom Tov, people are running and going. Back in the day, this is the time that I was like, oh, I forgot to do the chavrisa and then broiling the zroya. Incredible, incredible. The olam should have a chakosha v'sameach. Everyone should have a good Yom Tov. Yom Tov with not a whole lot. A little fighting is okay, it's normal, but not too much. You know, like the Yetzer Hara loves to step in there, and that's when the wife gets you upset, and the kids, and you're like, oh, you finally have that seder going, and that kid makes that one comment, and because Baruch should give everybody a geschmacke Yom Tov, a ruhige Yom Tov, a peaceful Yom Tov. So Baruch Hashem, this is the third cheer today, so that the olam could be ahead, or not be ahead, not fall behind. That's what I should say. And I wanted to give a tremendous shikayach to Mark Ashkenazi, even though it's Erev Yom Tov. He's sitting with me for 3 hours on an Erev Yom Tov, just sitting there recording behind the scenes and making everything happen. It's going to be more than 3 hours by the time we're done. So Yishkoyach Godel Ma'oid, I could not do this without you. Tremendous Yishkoyach. 20 people on Zoom, 20 people on YouTube. That's a total of 40 people, which is incredible if you come to think about it on an Erev Yom Tov. That's the power of Daf Yomi. That's what it does to a person. It breaks human beings like us, and it makes us people that are learning Torah 2 hours before probably the most difficult Yom Tov to get ready for. The Masechta is sponsored by anonymous Hatzlacha B'Parnasa. So today's shir, I'm going to take out. I had my favorite joke, basically my all-time favorite joke. I realize is on today's daf. I'll have to say it tomorrow. Stories, things like that. We're going to go on a little bit of a pace, and Be'ezer Hashem will be the shir is going to be within 45 minutes. We should be done. And if you put it on 1.5 speed, it's a lot less than that. Masechta sponsor anonymous Hatzlacha B'Parnasa. Yisroel Cherns, in honor of my chavrisa Shmueli Unger, Szlafrok Family, in memory of their uncle Simmy Schaer, Simcha Yisrael ben Naftali Tzvi A. Anonymous. May our learning bring us closer to one another in Hashem. Monthly sponsors: Hatzlacha B'Parnasa, Birevach, Baruch, Nissim ben Shoshana, Leah, Yoni Klestzick, Refuah Shleima, Yehudit, Brayna, Rivka. Kollel sponsors month. Thank you to Reb Eli's wife and kids for the great sacrifice they make, allowing him to spread Torah to the masses. Thank you to Mark Ashkenazi's wife, who's allowing her husband to do the shiurim on Erev Yom Tov. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she allows him, but okay, that's their thing. Yishkoyach. MDY Kids monthly innovations, Chus for official, Chon and Akiva, Rivki and Mrs. Stefansky, you know, there's certain things that are just beyond my comprehension, like the size of the universe and things like that. I just don't get. But here you have a human being. His name is Fishel, and he has brought alone by himself. He's brought 700 people to the shir to learn Masechtas Makkos. You hear the number? 700. That's like taking 70 shiurim, regular Daf Yomi shiurim, and putting them together. It's an incredible number, 700. So shkoyach to you, shkoyach to your family, shkoyach to everybody. Art of the month, Refuah Shleima for Yehudit Nathan ben Bas Sheva Bracha, Refuah Shleima, in honor of Yossi Klein and Mark Ashkenazi for all the work they do. Says the Heilige Mishnah Daf Hey Amud Beis, the famous pasuk. Oh, you know what? Benny Rudnick put this in for the Hebrew, but it's appropriate to talk about it right now. He says like this: Parnas Hayoim. He sponsored the Hebrew shir today by Benny Rudnick. L'chvoid Rebelli. Okay, that's fine. But he goes on to say, U'leschus ha'iskim b'melacha ma'acharei ha'klaim, 24/6. All the people are behind the scenes, and we have to talk about all of them. We have to give a tremendous yishkar to Mark Ashkenazi, to Kobe Goldschmidt, who's the Hebrew editor, to Yoshi Weiss, who was up the last few days. I know for a fact because I was dealing with him. I was talking to him till 3 in the morning, and one day till 5 a.m. so that we could have art. And that's, trying to kasher the kitchen and doing this and every stuff that everybody's doing. But the Olam is behind the scenes. They're working hard. And Avremi Cohen, who's done a ton of stuff behind the scenes. Ari Liba, who is our English editor. And Shimi Libowitz, who's our English editor. Yishkoyach Shimi. Rabbi Didi Kramer was my chavrisa, my Rebbe, who's on the phone with me. Well, not every day, but today he was on the phone with me. Yesterday, no. Whatever, but he makes it happen. I called him up, and he was in the middle of doing stuff for Yom. I dropped everything on the spot, and we start learning. Dave Sharfman, the famous Dave Sharfman. So, unreal. So, yishkach to all the guys. I know that we're missing some people, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes. We have Noam Fix and Moshe Blass and Eli Stefansky, who are putting that whole program together, the retention program, and all the Chashuvim, Fischel, and Yossi Klein, and Nisanel Gans, and Morty Rubin, and the kids, the list goes on and on and on and on. And of course, Saul Rosenberg, who put out thousands of Gemaras, sent them all, did all the shipping and the labeling. Okay. Rabbi said, we have a daf to do, so we got to go. Alpi Shnayim Edim Oishloisha Edim, the famous pasuk. Testimony. Edim, you need at least 2 or 3. Ask the Mishnah the famous question. You must amaze, you could kill somebody based on 2 or 3. If you could kill somebody based on a testimony of 2 Edim, so certainly on 3 Edim. Why does the Torah have to say 3? Elo lahakish, to teach us a lesson here. Obviously, if 3 people were on a cruise ship and they say, you two that you testified that so-and-so killed somebody, you're liars, you were with us on the cruise. 3 beats 2. So 2 beats 3. That's the chiddush here. That even though the Edom, that are the second pair of Edom, they're accusing 3 people, 5 people, 100 people, 2 people could accuse 100 people. 2 could kill 3 people, even though 3 is more than 2. How do you know that even 100? So if we look at this pasuk, why does it have to say Al Pi Shnayim Edim? It should say Al Pi Shnayim Oy Shloisha Edim. Why does it break it up? Edim. There's an extra word Edim to teach us even 100. It says Taisus. Who told you to jump to 100? Maybe you go 2, 3, and the extra word Edim, it says 4. The pasuk says 2 and 3, so the Edim will say 4. How do you get to 100? It says Taisus. It's logic. Because 4 is double the amount of 2. If 2 could kill 4 people, so then there's no limit. Then it's unlimited. Then you go all the way to 100. Rebbe Kiva is not arguing over here. He's just saying there's no need for this pasuk. Why? Because we have a concept in all of Shas, 2 is like 100. 2 Edim is 100 Edim. It doesn't matter if it's 100 versus 2. Both of them, the 2 could be makish to 100. So then, why do I have the pasuk? Now what? We learn over here that the third guy, even though he's not necessary at all to testify that there was a murder, 2 is enough. But the third guy, since he joined the group, now he's part and parcel with them, and he gets the same punishment as them. So if 2 get punished by the death penalty, the third also gets the death penalty. That's the chiddush over here. Now the Mishnah is going to take care of the Musar part of today's shir. I don't even have to do it. It says like this. I don't give Musar, but I like to give little tips, little things. And some people like it, some people don't. So here the Mishnah is doing it for us. If you are not necessary at all, but you jumped on board and you became part of the Chabura of Rishayim, you decided to lie and testify that somebody killed somebody when he didn't. So what's your punishment? You get killed just like them. So certainly a kavachomer yishalem socha lenitbal loisei mitzvah koisei mitzvah. Says Rashi, the famous Rashi. Shematzinu mido hatoiva meruba mimidas peranas. We know that the good is that much better than the bad. How much better? Says Rashi, 500 times more. He doesn't say specifically over here, but he says it in other places in Shas 500 times. It's known, everybody knows that you heard the drushes 20 times or 500 times. But over here he says, and you can just read what he says. He says, Noitzer chesed la'alofim. When it comes to chesed, it's la'alofim. It's 2,000, a minimum 2,000, maybe even more. But Barani Soimer al Shileishim al Ribeim, 3 generations or 4 generations. How many times does 4 fit into 2,000? 500. So the good is better. The award and the benefit of good is 500 times more than the bad. The Chofetz Chaim and Havas Chesed says that we know that when it comes to Melach on Shabbos, let's say 2 people are carrying a heavy couch out the door on Shabbos. They go from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. If one of them by themselves couldn't carry it, it's too heavy, too large. He needed his friend. So then each person becomes as if he himself did the entire thing. He's chayiv misa or whatever it is, a chatos, as if he did it himself. Why? Because he couldn't do it by himself. So says the Chofetz Chaim, so his mashal is, let's say they're building a mikvah. That's what he says. Building, that's his example. And they asked the wealthy guy to give $100,000, and they asked the poor guy to give $5. The poor guy, he becomes a partner in this mikvah like the wealthy guy. That's what he says. That's the pshat over here. And I thought to myself, as I'm reading it, I'm thinking about Mark Ashkenazi and all the unbelievable people like the Yossi Kleins of the world and the Saul Rosenbergs and Benny Rudnick and the kids are all the editors and all the people that are behind the scenes. The shir cannot exist without each and every person. Each person has a role. Each person takes care of things, and everybody's invited. Also, if you're not, participating now, you could always participate and do things. Nobody was asked to do. The people jumped up and did. The point is that right now, let's say, right now, at this physical moment, I myself am not broadcasting this shir on my own. I need Mark Ashkenazi to sit in New York and Muncie to be on the computer and do it. So there's a person who does more and there's a person who does less. But every person who does gets the entire sechar. You hear the entire sechar, says the Mishnah. Says the Chofetz Chaim explaining the Mishnah. That's what it says over here. The ones who jump on and they're part of the bandwagon, they're part of this train, part of this puzzle. Like the main guy doing the mitzvah. There's no one magid shir. Oh, he's giving the shir. It's the guy that does the art, the guy that does this. Everybody's a part here. And you know what I'll add? That all these guys, the 75 people right now, 75 people on live, right now on Erev Shabbos Yom Tov, at 5:30 in the afternoon, it's literally 5:30 in the afternoon, an hour and a half before Yom Tov. I'm not talking about the early Yom Tov that we're doing here in Chicago, and I'm going to be late. I still have to drive and pack. It takes about an hour just to drive them. Say that. We'll talk about that later. But all the people that are on Zoom, Yishukayach, all the people on YouTube, Yishukayach, each and every one of you is a chizuk. Reminds me last year also, I had a little bit of a breakdown crying. It's like the culmination of all these shiurim of trying to get ahead and v'chulu. Okay, no breakdown today. We go weiter. But everybody that's part of the shir, everybody that comes to the live shir is a huge part. It's a mitzvah lo yisei mitzvah, gets the entire sechar. Let's say you have 2 Eidim and one of the Eidim is a relative and a relative. Is Posel Eidos, and so that entire Eidos becomes Batul Mevuta Kafir Daro. Av Shloisha is the Chidush. Shloisha Nimtza Echel Mem Korve Posel. So if you have 3 Eidim, You can't say, oh, you know what? He's a relative, let's get rid of him. But you have two left. Oh, two is good enough. No. If you're going to get rid of him, you got to get rid of everybody. It's one package deal. That's the Yisod. It's a package deal. It's one kat edim. And how do you know if you have 100 people and one of them is a relative, he's puzzle. And he's puzzle. He passes all 100. So we're going to have to see when we get towards the bottom. I'll just throw it out now. That first of all, there's a whole shmuz here in the sugya. Does it mean that these edim went to testify in Bezdin or not? That's a Makkos Rishonim. What do you do at a chuppah? What do you do at a get? That's Tazis Kasha later. So at a chuppah, I'll just say real quickly, at a chuppah, the rabbi says, you two are the edim, the chassan. He tells the chassan to say, you two are my edim, to exclude everybody else. Nobody else could be eid. But if, in fact, he doesn't say that, and one of the brother of the chassan wants to be an eid, or he wants to test, he ruins it. This is only concerning life and death, trying to kill a murderer. Why? Because it says, Rashi says, and we're trying to look for schus, madrina schusa. That's what it says in the Torah, right? In the whole Sanhedrin we're learning, you always have to find the benefit of the doubt for the murderer. We try to save people from getting capital punishment. That's only by murder by nefashos. But when it comes to money, this guy made his b'shar. If you have three edim, and one of them is a relative, it's okay. Get rid of the relative. Now you have two edim that can testify that so and so owes $1 million. That's fine. Rebbe argues. The Gemara is going to say, is the halacha like Rebbe Yossi? We just said that when it comes to mamanis, you could use the other two edim. Rebbe says no. Echadin and mamanis, v'echadin and fashin. This is how we're passing. There's an aleph over here showing the Shulchan Aruch talks about it. That means that's how the Shulchan Aruch paskins. Echadin and mamanis, v'echadin and fashin. Even when it comes to monetary stuff, if one of the edim is a relative, he ruins it for everybody. There are no edim, and nobody's going to know that you owe $1 million because all the testimony goes out the window. And when do they become puzzle? When these edim that are puzzle, the relative guy, he did the hasra. What's hasra? In case you're brand new here, hasra is before you could give somebody a punishment, you must warn him. By the way, you are going to get punished. It says in Torah, and he has to say, okay, I agree, I will do it. And then he does the avera, he kills the person within Turkey de Dibor. That's Hasra. But if there's no Hasra, I have a great trick. What's my trick? I want to kill somebody and I don't want Bezdin to do anything to me. So I make sure that when I kill the guy, I kill him in Manhattan in front of a family. Yeah, 1,000 people saw the murder, but now they can't do anything to me because two of the people are brothers, and brothers are puzzle eidos. No, of course that doesn't work. So when does it work? When is it a problem? If those two brothers, they warned me not to kill. They both said, don't kill because you're going to get the death penalty. That's when they both become Eidim. Now they made themselves Eidim. And once you become Eidim, then you're part of this group. And now that you are a relative, now you're no good. But if you're not part of the group, you just happen to see it, then it's not a problem. The Gemara is going to explain how can you differentiate. This only works if all these witnesses, 100 of them, they all testified within Turkey de Dibur. What's this concept called Turkey de Dibur? By the way, some people have a little bit of a difficult time. They see Tuchd. What does that mean? Turkey de Dibur. What is Turkey de Dibur? So he says Turkey de Dibur means Shalom Alecha Rabbi. As long as it takes to say Shalom Alecha Rabbi, which is about 2 seconds or less, all 100 of them have to testify within 2 seconds. So he says, how's it possible? It's a lot of people to hear testimony in 2 seconds. Each person is more than 2 seconds. How are you going to listen to testimony from 100 people in 2 seconds? So he says, no, you didn't understand. The break between each aid is Turkey de Dibur. So what do? Aid number 1 testifies. The maximum break that you could take between him and the next guy is Takei Dibur. Then the second guy testifies. The maximum break that you could take is Shalom Aleichem Rabbi, Takei Dibur. Then the fourth guy testifies. And you cannot take a big break between each one. So you have 100 Takei Diburs for 100 people. Or 99, whatever the math is. No, sorry. So according to Rabbi Yossi, everybody that witnesses a certain thing, he becomes an aid. If that's the case, the guy that got murdered, the victim, he testified. He saw the murder. He saw that he was about to get killed. So he becomes a witness. Now he is pasul eidus. Why? Because he's biased. You can't testify about yourself, about what happened. And if he's biased, he's pasul. So now he just ruined the eidus. And the Torah says that you can kill people based on edim. So obviously he himself doesn't ruin the eidus. We have to understand why, according to you, Rabbi Yossi. You're saying that everybody that witnessed it becomes the eid automatically. So then he becomes pasul eidus. So we have to say, you know when a person doesn't ruin it? When he got killed from behind. Just think, because here in Chicago, I got a license to carry a weapon, right? People are very nervous here with all the anti-Semitism. A lot of people carry weapons. So we took a course, the whole thing. So they tell you if somebody breaks into your house, then you're allowed to shoot him. But be careful that if he turns around and runs out the door, you can't shoot him in the back, because then you could go to jail, right? That's ma'achayrav. That not literally what's going on here, but if you kill somebody from behind, so the guy that was killed never witnessed it, so he can't testify against, or he can't testify against the murder. So that's okay. That's the case. What about nir bayatzel? If somebody has relations with another person, so the person that is the victim, he should ruin the testimony because he's negel eidus. Kisharavim achayrav. He never witnessed who did it to him. Says Gemara, forget the victim, but the perpetrator, the murderer, and the reveya, in two different cases, they should save themselves because they are biased and they witnessed what they did and they ruin every edus. Ishtik, he was quiet. He didn't know what to answer in this question. Rava saved the day. The Torah says, Yakum Dover. The only people that are I apologize for the sun coming through. I don't have shades over here. The only people that could ruin the eidos are people that are going to make the eidos. The victim is not making the eidos. He's not part of the testimony. You're right. He witnessed it, but he's not a yakum dover. He's not making it happen. So an aid that's going to make the testimony happen, and he happens to be a relative. He's the one that passes it. Says Gemara, how does Bezin, this is what we discussed before, how does Bezin know who wanted to be aid and who didn't want to be aid, who ruins it and who doesn't? How do we differentiate? Omar Rava, wow, 47 just on YouTube. Omar Rava, let's say somebody's sitting in his house, he's relaxing, and all of a sudden he hears gunshots, he hears screaming outside, is crazy. So he runs outside to see what's happening. Why did he run outside? Because he's curious or because he wants to testify? That's what we ask him. If he says, I want to testify, then he becomes an active member of the testimony team. And if you're part of the testimonial team, then you can ruin it for everybody if you're a relative. If you just said, I came to see, then then what are you supposed to do if two brothers witness the murder? Of course you kill the murderer. So Tosfos asks the question, every get, usually, a lot of times by a get, you can imagine that a woman is feeling vulnerable and she wants a little moral support. So she brings her mother, she brings her sisters with her to Bezdin, or she brings her brother, I should say. So the brother is pasula edus. So how come he doesn't ruin it? And this is what we say, that you have to exclude. But today we exclude by chuppah, etc. Says the Gemara, Itmar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Says Rabbi Yehuda in the name of Shmuel. Halacha Rabbi Yossi. That what? Rabbi Yossi says on top of the Amud over here that the only time a relative ruins the eidos is when it's din nefashis, not din mamonos. So he says, you're right. The halach is like him, not in din mamnas. Only in din fashis ha'edl. Halach Rebbe, no. That one individual aid could ruin the entire group of Eidim, even in mamnas. Now we turn to the Amud Beis. Turn to the Daf, Adar Global, one-stop shop for all your financial needs. Innovations LLC, in honor of our sons Kamel 12 and Yisroel 9 for learning Sanhedrin with Rebelli, in honor of Adar Global and Innovations, true role models of how to support the Daf and learning. There's 81 people on both Zoom and YouTube. What a Kiddush Hashem. What a tremendous chizuk on Erev Yontif, to sit by a computer, to sit by your device, and listen to Torah and be involved in Torah. It's incredible. I know that many, many years of my life, I didn't do that. Erev Yontif. Says the Mishnah that Vavam Beis Top. Now we're talking about Eidos, testimony that happened from two vantage points, and the two Eidim don't know about each other. The two sets of Eidim don't know. So here's the picture. So here we have two Eidim that have blue laser beams coming out of their eyes on the right side, and two Eidim that have pink laser beams coming out of their eyes on the left side. We're going to discuss also one aid on the one side and one aid on the other side. What we have is they're witnessing the Reitzeach. He has a knife. I apologize if it's not perfect. I took this Reitzeach guy, whatever. He's like standing. He's like not 100% halachically artsy in the right place. He's actually standing. Okay, he's jumping. Fine. Not this one. Sorry. I was just wondering how come the boat is not moving. Okay, here we go. Two see him from one window, and two see from another window. And as you see the guy with the shtreimel, he does Esra. He's screaming out, you better not kill. If you kill, you will get the death penalty. One out of the two blue guys and one out of the two pink guys see each other. Then you can combine all four of them and they're one big testimony. So what happens if it's one big testimony? If one of the four is related, then all four are no good. If you want to be mazim two out of the four and you want to get into the death penalty, you can't. You have to be mazim all four. They become one group. If they don't see each other, then we view it as two separate groups of Eidim. And therefore, so, I apologize for all these bubbles, and they're large and not so good with the eyes, but okay. On the right side, you see there's a orange bubble. It says Zoymimim. If the two guys on the right were found to be liars, they were on a cruise ship. When they claimed they saw the murder, they were actually on a cruise ship in a different country. So we kill them. Now listen what happens here. This is very, very interesting. It's fascinating, in fact, because the two Eidim were with the pink laser, and on top of them it says a bubble. It says Eidim Toivim. These are good witnesses. Nobody testified against them. So they create a situation where the Reitzeach, the guy with the sword, is going to die. So the guy in the sword is going to die. So if he's going to die, why are the two Eidim on the right that are Zoymim, how come they need to die? Because they lied. But they lied about a true thing. They said that the guy is a killer, and he is a killer. Too bad. You lied, you weren't there, you're in another country, you are going to die for what you did. That we had the sugya yesterday, or today in the morning, that it depends. If they testified that it was a Gemar Din, you're right, then they don't die. But since they didn't testify that it's a Gemar Din, they're testifying that they saw the killing. MMA law, they're trying to kill somebody that's not a Gavra Ketila, they die. So therefore, it's possible to separate the Eidos. The ones on the right have nothing to do with the ones on the left. Why? Because the two Eidim don't see each other. The four Eidim don't see each other. And therefore I could kill the ones on the right, and I don't kill the ones on the left. Vashniya Ptura is interesting. Lashon, the ones on the right, the green guys, the ones with the pink laser beams, they are potter. In other words, they're good Eidim. The only time the Zayim on the right are going to die is if they did the Hasra. They gave the warning. How do I know this? Shenemar al pi shnayim eidim. The whole thing has to be done by two eidim. That's how he learns the pasuk. They take the witness. They give the testimony that they saw the killing, but they also gave him a warning. So the guy in the stride mode doing the Hasra, according to Rabbi Yossi, is not good enough. Another thing you can learn from this pasuk: Al pi shnayim eidim shlo tehei Sanhedrin shrimas mepi hameturgamon. The Sanhedrin cannot hear testimony from a translator. This is where I have my favorite joke, and I am going to save it for a different time, maybe Matzah Yom Tov if I remember. Omar Rav Zutra bar Tevia, Omar Rav. Says Rav Zutra in the name of the son of Bar Tevia in the name of Rav. Menayin leidus miyuchedes shehi psula. Mark, we're about to show the video. How do you know chedes? I'm going to tell you, explain to you what it is here. You're going to see a video to explain it. The new types of videos now we're trying to do videos that explain more than videos that are funny. In this case, it's both. I think I like this video. Here we go. Eidus miyuchedes.
You won't believe this. Look at what the neighbor is doing.
Oy vey, punishable by death in Bastian.
One of 3 Averos Chamuros. I can't even say out loud what he's doing.
Who would believe what he does at home when no one is watching?
Something, but at different times. 1 minute, the guy looked through the hole, he saw him in the middle of bowing. The next minute, at a different time, a different period, another aide saw the same kind of action, Avodah Zarah, but they didn't see at the same time. That is what we call Eidus Miyuchedes. Here's how I depicted it, because this is the next case, similar case. Here you have 2 Eidim, but they see from different angles, from different vantage points. That's also considered Eidus Miyuchedes. It might be at the same time, but they don't see each other, and therefore it's considered Eidus Miyuchedes. So says the Gemara. How do I know that this is not a good testimony? It says in the Torah, a person shall not die based on 1 aid. What does that mean, 1 aid? It must be our case that it's 2 aid and just they saw it at different times. Why? If you say that it means literally you can't kill somebody based on 1, it says in the pasuk, any kid understands that when the Torah says you kill based on testimony of 2, that means 1 not. 2 yes, 1 not. So you must say echad means echad, 1 by 1. One saw in the beginning of the minute, and the other one saw at the end of the minute, not at the same moment. Therefore, it's not a good testimony. We saw a very similar thing. So that's more my case. 2 people see him. 1. They sing it from different vantage points. And the 2 of them don't see each other. They don't combine to make 2 Eidim. Like in the video, they see the same act, but one after another. There's no tziro if you cannot combine them. Bomb question. In this case, when they are both seeing the same time, just they're seeing it from different windows, from different vantage points, we're saying that's not a good testimony. So certainly the video where they're not seeing the same time, at 5:50 New York time, one guy sees it through the window, and at 5:51 the second guy sees it from the window. They both saw him bowing Avodah Zarah to the Tesla, but they didn't see it at the same moment. So of course it's not a good Eidus. If when they see it at 5:50, at the same second, just standing in different floors in a building, and they don't see each other, but they see the same action, it's no good. So certainly if it's one after another, it's no good. When they're seeing the entire act. They don't get together. No, I have a case where a person is doing a prolonged isser. He's with an erva. So one saw 1 minute, the next one saw the second minute. You think it's the same act, and Memela, it should be mitzdaref. Komashmal, it's not. So here we have the masra. We said is the guy giving the hasra. Here, the guy with the shtreimel is warning the murderer, hey, if you kill, you will die. The two Adam, the one with the blue laser and the one with the pink laser, they don't see each other. But what they do see is the one that gives the warning. That guy that gives the warning, he's a chutam meshulash, so to speak. He combines the two. He gets them together. He holds, since he could see both, so he makes a connection between the two, and those two become one pair of Adam. That's one halacha. Another halacha. If the victim himself, the Reitzach holding the sword, the gun, says, talks to himself, he says, Mr. Reitzach, don't kill. I'm telling you, you always get us into trouble when you kill. Don't kill. He's warning himself. That's enough of a warning. Even if it comes from a demon from a shed. Today, we can understand. Even if it comes from a cell phone, it comes from a recording, a YouTube video, I don't know what. It says on YouTube, warning, do not kill, and if you kill, you'll get the death penalty. That's enough of a warning. Rav Nachman, it says, Rav Nachman, I disagree that when you have 1/8 here and 1/8 here, it does work for $1 million loan. Not for killing somebody, but for loans, yes. For money, yes. You cannot kill somebody based on 1/8, and we explained already that 1/8 means one here and one there. In fact, it does work for monetary stuff. You're telling me that it only doesn't work to kill somebody, but what if you want to save somebody from the death penalty? We said that you should try every way to get a murderer out of his murder. So if this doesn't work, when you have 1/8 here and 1/8 here, what if it helps me to save the murderer? How? In this case, we're saying that no, they don't combine. The Zoyim and the Adam, the good Adam, the bad Adam, they don't combine because they don't see each other. But if a carrot, we should make them, it should help me that it ruins the Eidos to save the guy. Kasha, it's a good kasha. Rabbi Yossi Omer. So Rabbi Yossi says that the Eidim must testify. They must warn. In order to testify, they must warn. In order to be possible, the Eidim, these guys that we see on the screen, the Zoyim, they must also warn the guy, not only testify. Does Rabbi Yossi actually agree that you need to warn somebody in this case? Why? The famous Rabbi Yossi, we had him in Sanhedrin a number of times. But now Rabbi Yossi Omer hasoine neherag v'vneishu b'muad umusra. What happens if you have somebody that hates somebody else, and he just so happens to be next to him, and the guy is dead, and you ask him what happened? He says, "Oh, I killed him by mistake." We don't believe him. Why? Because since you hate him, it's obviously you killed him, and it wasn't a mistake. Give you an example. Just recently, whenever it was, maybe half a year ago or so, the guy that was the head of Wagner in Russia, Putin hired this guy, whatever his name was, Yavinov, I don't remember his name. Yevgeny Prigonsky, whatever his name was. He was the head of the Wagner group, and they were like hired mercenaries, whatever they were. He hired this whole group, thousands of people to kill the Ukrainians. And then this head guy, this Yevgeny, he got upset at Putin, and he got into a whole fight, a public fight. He embarrassed Putin a lot, and then they made up. And then he was flying a private plane, and a missile hit the plane. And Putin said it was a mistake, he apologized, but meanwhile the guy's dead. He fell out of the sky, and by mistake, a missile hit his plane, by mistake. What does that say? It says if you hate somebody, there's no mistakes. You hate the guy, and the guy's dead the next day, so obviously you did it. Says Rabbi Yossi, in this case, I don't need Asra. You don't have to be warned. You're a murderer. You hate the guy, so you killed him. We said it in Sanhedrin, and we'll say the Gemara is going to be in a second, that when it comes to the Talmud Chacham also, or the wife of the Talmud Chacham, you don't have to warn him. He knows better than you. He knows the halach is more than you. He knows the whole Shas by heart. You have to tell him that if you kill somebody, you will die. There's no need for it, according to Rabbi Yossi. According to Chachamim, yeah, even a Talmud Chacham needs to be warned. That is Xeris HaKasav. It's a great kasha you're asking. So in this case, by us, why does Rabbi Yossi say the Edom have to warn him? The Edom know already. The guy knows that you're not allowed to kill. You don't need the Edom to warn. He was already warned, let's say, by the guy in the Shtreimel. So says the Gemara, no, the answer is simple. It's a great question, yes, on Rabbi Yossi from Rabbi Yossi, but it's two different Rabbi Yossis. The Rabbi Yossi who says you don't have to warn somebody who knows already. Amar Le'ahu Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. His name is Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. But our Rabbi Yossi in our Mishnah is Rabbi Yossi bar Chalafta, the famous Rabbi Yossi bar Chalafta, not Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. The Zan Rabbi Yossi bar Yehuda. You don't have to warn a Talmud Chacham. The whole point of the Asra is to warn to make sure that he's doing it deliberately and he deserves a punishment. But if you know for a fact that he knows what deliberate is, not deliberate, you don't have to warn him. Rabbi Sai, Agut Moyed, Agut Yontiv, Chakosher Sameach, and thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Mark. Thank you to the editors. Agut Yontiv.